Welcome back to Tools and Track. It's been a while since I've done something properly moronic. We've got the low cost, which is great, but it takes up a lot of time to make one episode at 20 minutes long every week. So I've been looking for a little side hustle. Granted, we also have the TVR, my 90s British muscle car. However, it's done, so it doesn't really need much more in the way of work. Now, being a fan of the 90s that I am, I thought, what else could I add from that era that I enjoy, that would make a good side project? I've just bought myself a classic Subaru Impreza. Yes! So, first comments.
Where's your 14-year-old girlfriend?
In the post, along with, I'm going to imagine, a lot of other parts.
I mean, obviously, I love it. Because if you don't love an Impreza, you probably drink your dad's bathwater. The smell. Let's just get a wee...
So describe that for the viewers at home.
Chlamydia.
Chlamydia is probably going to be one of the primary scents on that thing.
So what is it?
So, it is a UK car, a Turbo 2000, and it is principally a barn find.
That means it's pumped, presumably.
Yes, okay, so there's going to be a few issues with it. Now, what we do know is that it doesn't have brakes for a start, and it's also got a fuel leak, so whilst we can fire it up, it needs to be very quick because it's fuel basically everywhere. So those are the two known problems with it. So as you can see on the pictures as well, there's a couple of bits removed, but I've been assured by the seller that it's definitely got all the bits in the boot.
And sellers are always honest. I mean, the guy I bought the MX-5 from, for instance, he was very honest.
Yeah, and I've got absolutely no reason to doubt with half the car missing that it's going to have parts, but it does have a lot of nice bits on it anyway. For example, that intercooler doesn't look like it's stock. There's some other nice wee bits of performance goodies here and there, such as the big exhaust.
Panties from the McDonald's car park.
So it definitely needs a bit of work, but before we do anything else, the first thing is, I need to get rid of this for some summer gear, and the car needs to get washed. So we're inside, it's a crack of dawn, so it's like cold enough to actually do this sort of stuff. And I've decided to continue the cleaning. So I've emptied out all the spares that the seller says is in the car to put it back together. Now the implication there is everything that we will need to put this car back together is there. We have 5 car mats. This is a good thing because that is the centre tranny tunnel mat that goes over the back. I love these in Imprezas and I'm glad it still exists. We have one tail lamp, which is the missing tail lamp from the back, which is good because as a minimum we need 2. But even better, it's got the trim on it, which will go on that, and that, and that will go on there instead because those lights are gantin. We have got 1 and 2 front wings. This is positive because it is required. However, that's probably going to need a repair. 2 standard front headlamps, also a win. I will note that I've not laid out because they're sitting at the front of the car. The 2 side lamps in clear are also there as well. Standard factory airbox. I didn't even know these could be equipped on an Impreza. Side skirts, not in the best of condition but present, which is good because the sills that have been welded in the side of the car have holes for them. Rear bumper bar and rear bumper. The rear bumper bar being in the exact same colour for a car that is not this one. Doesn't matter, it's going to be painted black anyway. That is getting put down to the bare metal and completely coated because these guys, these like to rust. We have got a pink badge front grille, which will definitely fit as well. Those and the headlights will probably hang on the now just to make the car look presentable. Wheel arch liners. I don't know if it's for front or back, but either way, they're definitely going back on. We have got arch spat covers. As there are holes in these arches, they will most inevitably find their way on as well. This confuses me. This repair apparently has been done, but that is the arch for it. Go figure. This is what I'm going to guess to be the old intercooler because a bigger, shinier one is currently on the car. This box is misc, assorted and other. Various bits of trim that I found hanging around the car, interior gubbins, stuff that's not going to be critical for us to get back on the car in order to get it through an MOT, but we will need it at some point. So they're just going to get put in a box and put out the way for the moment. I'm feeling pretty positive about this. Most of the stuff that we're going to need is there. I'll probably change over these lights and at least make it look semi-presentable for the end of this episode, aka the intro. And then we're going to, well, write a list of A, what's missing, and B, what we're going to have to find for an MOT. It's always a promising sign when you've got to take things like lights out on a car you've just bought, used, and you've not had to pick up a tool once. Every nut and bolt just falls off. I mean, in this instance, you know, I'll give it a pass. It's been a project car for long enough. There's a pretty good chance these were taken out for the bodywork and never properly put back in. Something tells me I'm going to find more bolts like that. Once I've got this light changed over, I'm going to have a look at the front headlights because they are filled. Once all the lights are changed over, I'm going to just stick them on eBay and I'll get a wee bit of cost back, clear up a bit of clutter. And then we need to look at the non-start issue. Now, this is an elephant in the room, to be honest. If anyone knows Subarus, you'll know that the fuel pipe route from the tank to the engine is not what we would call simple. The fuel tank has all the normal feed, return, evap system. That all of that sits on top of the fuel tank. The problem is, the fuel tank sits on top of the diff, the front diff for your subframe, diff support, exhaust, and half the suspension gubbins, which would also need to come off to get all that off. So if I cannot get access to this problem hose, it's going to be a problem. And I've been putting this off, which is why you can probably tell I'm doing lights right now. Because if we diagnose this as problem the tank, this is a project. But until I fix the tank, I can't properly run the engine. And until I can properly run the engine, I don't know if this is even going to be a goer. So there's a priority list here. It's not just chucking stuff in the wind and hoping to see what sticks. Apart from lights. And the hits keep on coming. So this is the front, which I would pray are not supposed to look like this. As you can see, we've got an original headlight plugged, and it's plugged into some sort of connector that then splits into various different things in this. And also they've very skillfully routed it around pipes, like actual engine pipes. So I can't just simply lift it out. Two taped together terminals, one red and one blue. It goes to about 40 different crappy LEDs in here. Off you come. Chances of this actually being a soldered connection? Haha! Nil! Goodbye. One correct. Nice, decent looking headlight. We have the aforementioned plug. Aha! And this wee guy, which goes into here. Okay. I suspect these lights are not correct. Two holes here. They don't line up with anything here at all. Bugger! Have I got a different version of Impreza possibly? Yep. Bugger me. You'll also know I'm gunning everything in lubricant, because this is a crusty car at the best of times. There's going to be numerous Subaru experts watching this going, mate, you should know this, it's supposed to be such and such to do this and that would sort that and this, and God, just look at the forums. Do you know what I think it might be actually? Maybe the wing. We might have to put the wing in, and then there's two brackets that come off the wing over the lights. Yes, it f***ing does. Okay, well the need for the wing to remedy this is going to be a bit of a sticking point for us, because that wing, particularly the near side, is it needs replaced. So there's not much point in putting it on. So I'm just going to pop the lens for the side light on so it doesn't get lost, and also to remind me that side lights will need a plug. So, we have a torch equipped. This is the other phone. And we have had a wee look underneath at the fuel tank. Hello, damp hose. This seems fairly positive. So, looking at it, this line here, where it comes out of that plastic union and goes back into the car towards the front of the engine, is what's wet. So that's corroded and crumbled. So I think that's what's causing our fuel leak. Well, that's definitely what's causing it because it's soaking wet. So I am 50-50 on whether or not we need to drop the tank. Right, what am I doing here? Well, as I've just highlighted on the front of the car, we're short on bolts, lots of bolts. This car's been disassembled and that's how we found it, just fine. But we're going to have to make sure that A, we've got the parts to put it back together, but B, those parts will need nuts and bolts to attach them to the car. Those are not what you would like to think they are, threaded in, waiting for the part to return. Now I've had a look through in here, and I'm pleased to announce that there's an amount, some nuts, some bolts. We'll probably get a fair old chunk done with it. Similarly, another thing I'm going to have to look for, as I've just realised, is a locking wheel nut key. There's a bolt missing already, they look a bit crusty. I don't trust these bolts at all. Which means I probably don't trust the wheels because they clearly won't go on without them, so they're also not gold, so there you go. So I'm going to have to try and find somewhere in this car, I pray there will be the key to take these tuner centre drive bolts out. So that, I'll be honest, might be my current mission, because without this we're in a whole bigger world of trouble than we already are. It was in the glove box, I'm a panic merchant, I know, sorry.
Hi.
So welcome to Mechanical Builder, coming to laugh at my projects for a change, because we've had a wee start this morning. We put the front end on and then I was trying to work out why there was a significant gap between the bumper and the lights. And I found it by taking the bumper off.
Oh, look at that, it's rusty.
How unusual for old
Jesus Christ.
nonsense. So we can also add a front bumper bar onto the to-do list, because that's beyond saving. Which is what I've started to do. I'll hasten to add, we have got a to-do list. One to eBay or Facebook more likely. It's actually a big Facebook breakers group following for these, which is going to be a lifesaver clearly. So yeah, we'll add front bumper bar to the list. So I think we'll get one task a day, let's get this bumper bar off and make sure where it sits behind can be saved. But we're going to start at the top of the list.
The Braves.
The Braves. Sake. Right, fine. Up there.
The brakes,
They don't work. There's no
Is there any pedal feel at all?
nothing.
So the pedal just goes down?
Yeah. So what we're going to do, I've had a look at the master cylinder, reservoir, and there's no fluid, which would be the obvious fault, but the question has to be asked. All the brake lines are there, all the brake calipers are on. Why is there no fluid? So that could be a problem, suggesting to me that we might have a leak somewhere. But the only way to find the leak is to put fluid in, sadly, and suss it out.
It stands to reason that the best place to start is probably with one of the front calipers, because the distance of travel with the line is obviously much shorter. So if we are pouring onto the floor, it'd be better if we did 200-300 mil as opposed to a litre.
3 litres, yeah. Hello boys and girls.
Hi.
Welcome to another episode of Tommy Loses His Shit with a Car. We have baked this lead nipple in plus gas and everything else for a significant amount of time now. Let's be honest boys and girls, I'm about to shear it off.
Aye, it was close to shearing when the camera was off. Oh, no shit.
Oh!
That was a Newton metre away from shearing.
That is, I'm actually putting that back in the plus gas just to be on the safe side, because I had no hope of that ever coming out.
Oh, there's 4 pistons.
No, that's right.
They're false, I thought they were false.
Yeah, it's only the singles in the back.
That's pretty normal, is it not?
Somebody's hat. No, usually it's twin ports in the front.
Oh really? And twins in the rear, you mean?
Yeah. I think it was neither. You can get a 2 piston.
Ah, so what's happened is that's come with the twins in the front and the one in the rear. And somebody's upgraded to the STI set.
To make sure it can do a handstand.
That's good, man. It means you can get the calipers rebuilt and just roll with them.
Well, let's see how rebuilded the fronts are going to need to be, because that's next on the to-do list.
This is exciting.
Yeah, the excitement is non-stop, the hits keep coming. So we started at the top of the list, like all good sensible project people do.
On the Braves.
On the Braves, watching out the brakes. Although we're now back to bravery territory because in order to find a fault we need to make a system that works. So we put fluid in, made sure all the bleed nipples came off, which it did, and then started to bleed. So we were pounding away on the front and I was getting fluid out and life was great and whatnot, and then
I heard hissing.
Yes.
So I was sitting in the driver's seat and I heard a suspiciously hissy noise coming from the back. And I thought, how can this be? How can I be hearing hissing from inside the car? The brake lines run through the inside of the vehicle in an Impreza.
because rally car. So
Because
the brake
rally car.
lines, you'll note, come up here and then disappear under the back seat for reasons, because they then get hidden by the fuel tank, go up over the top of the fuel tank and then back out to the back wheels. The problem we have here, as I can see, one brake line here has split like a f***ing banana and is now passing brake fluid all over the top of the fuel tank.
Yay!
So we have basically got two strikes against the fuel tank. The first being a line that I could probably get to under there, but it's going to be a convoluted mess to address a leak on, and now a brake line that sits above the tank as well. So we're taking the fuel tank out.
So, we're taking the subframe out.
So we're taking the exhaust off.
So, we're taking the whole car apart and doing a full resto.
The good news there, for you, not me, is this will now become a significant project, because not one single bolt in my inspection underneath this car, well, has a f***ing hex on it anymore. They're all pretty gone. So we may wrap up here. I'm going to start dousing a lot of things on this car in penetrant fluid, trying to break some threads, get things moving, and then next week we'll go back onto the low cost because it doesn't have rust. All your support is greatly appreciated. Patreon.com/ToolsandTracks. If you haven't done it already, hit the bell, hit subscribe to see more of this fantastic
Rusty old shit.
crap.
But it's an Impreza. How can you not like an Impreza?
Well, at the moment I can give you a number of reasons. There's no debate here, by the way, guys. There's no ifs nor buts. This is getting saved. It's just a case of how much effort I need to put into it. So, next time, we will be taking the subframe off and saving the back end of this.
What else are you going to pick up public school girls?
This is the commitment to the cause, guys.
Aye, but coffee.
Sweating my tits off. Pushing the boundaries of automotive excellence.
It is hot in here. Very hot. I don't know why I'm drinking coffee, to be honest. That's probably not the smartest
Coffee's
move.
good. Well, coffee gets you in a sweat and then the sweat cools you down. There is a science to drinking coffee or hot drinks on a hot day. Yeah, you're too late, it's off.
I've always wanted to refurbish brake calipers. You need electrolytes. No, they make hoovers. Electrolytes, is that right? You need a wee tub and you charge the tub with some fancy electrician thing. Right.
And on this episode of Science,
Electrodes.
electrodes.
You need electrodes.